Hey, everybody. Welcome back to episode 59 of the Real Deal Pod with Allister and Geoff. It's a little rainy today, but it's supposed to be a pretty darn exciting weekend. We have the 40th anniversary, the 40th annual Vancouver Jazz Festival coming up. Super excited. And I am excited and exciting. Those are the two words I was going to put in. It's the BC Scots Festival. It's they have the Highland Games coming up. So pretty crazy things going on in BC. But the most important thing happening right now is we got the podcast and we got my main man, Geoff Lee. What's going on, Geoff? How you doing, buddy?
You know what? I am doing well. We have a new addition to the family. Just put a hot tub in my backyard.
Look at you.
So we're waiting to get that thing all set up and looking forward to dipping my toes into it.
Well, that'll be nice. So I'll be over next weekend. I got some stuff to do this weekend, but I'll be over next weekend.
You have an open invitation always.
That's what I love to hear, my man. That's what I love to hear. Yeah, that's awesome. So anything crazy other than that? Like, how's things going for you?
Things are going well. I'm training for the Okanagan Fondo coming up on July 13th. It's a 155 kilometer road ride with I think it's about 1,500 meters or 1,700 meters of elevation. So I've been taking my bike up and going up Cypress Mountain. Last week, a friend of ours, Grant Sauer, Notary Public, him and I went up Cypress. We not only did it once, we did it twice. So
look at you.
It was it's a good grind for sure.
Nice. Wow. Well, for me, it's been just the end of the school year. We had sports days last week, and we got graduations coming up next week. It's it's Elizabeth's graduation. She's graduating grade 7 and headed up into high school.
Nice.
You know, my wife is having an absolute meltdown right now, writing all the thank you to the thank you notes to the secretary and the teachers and stuff like that, because this is the last one. So she's writing the final goodbyes, and she can't get through writing one without just bursting into tears. It's fantastic.
Sounds like a good school. She's
It's great. But I'll tell you, all of them have been just wonderful. It's just been a wonderful time. So just a shout out to all of them. But yeah, man. And then we got some crazy stuff going on in real estate right now. So we're gonna get into the did you know, my friend, because this is an interesting. We finally got a number. Did you know Canada needs to double home building? So Canada needs to double the number of homes we build every year to get back to the 2019 affordability levels. So that's the number that we're looking at, people. When we talk about Canada wanting to get back into affordable housing, the affordable housing number looks like it's going to be set at 2019, which is coincidentally when, Geoff? Just before the pandemic.
Right.
So as we've always said, the pandemic absolutely skewed the market and all the home values and just how real estate transitioned, right? So right now, we're putting up 245,000 homes a year. And keep in mind, this is Canada. This is for Canada, right? So right now, we're putting up around 245,000 homes a year. CMHC says we need 430,000 to 480,000 every year for the next 10 years in order to reach those levels of 2019 affordability. That's 4.8 million new homes, or Canadians fall further behind. That is wild. So here's the kicker. In 2019, the average household spent 40% of their income on housing. Okay, and we already felt that was high, right? If we don't shift course, that could hit 53% by 2035. So that's half of your income just for a roof over your head. 2035.
Yeah, but again, we do that's called debt servicing, right?
Yeah.
So again, I would challenge that a little bit because when we're doing the underwriting on home purchases, there's a
Okay.
debt servicing. Your total debts, depending on your credit score, is a maximum of 44%. Sometimes
Right.
you can get exceptions up to say 50%, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I again, it will come back down to what we're talking about is the affordability, because you're not if more than 44% of your income is going towards your total debts,
Yeah.
you're not going to get approved for a mortgage as of today.
Yeah. As of today. Yeah. I don't know.
So,
I don't know how CMHC is going to change. Are they going to change lending rules? I don't know I don't know what they're going to do if that's what the forecasted number is going to be. They'll have to make adjustments for that, right? Because if they're projecting that if that's what it's going to reach in 2035 and it can't be stopped because just purely through cost, you're going to have to change the lending rules or you'll have people homeless.
yeah, or the housing has to correct in a way
Yeah.
that basically correlates to income and cost of
Yeah.
living, right?
Right, right. And so here's a couple more things. So in BC, we were one of the hardest hit, of course. So in Vancouver needs 7,200 more homes a year built. So that was an increase of 29%,
Mm.
right? Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, they're all facing the same one. You
Yeah.
know, the only one, it actually surprised me. Do you know what there's only one city in Canada on track. Do you know what city it is?
I'm gonna say somewhere out east, somewhere.
Of course, yeah. Edmonton.
Yeah.
Edmonton is the only one on track. Not even Winnipeg. I was actually surprised. But Edmonton's the only one that on track. So it was just so like again, when somebody says just wait for the crash, right? Just wait for the market crash, we just have to keep reminding everybody it's not a bubble. We have a supply crisis, right?
Yeah.
The values will never crash. We actually have too few homes. They have to build more homes in order for to facilitate that so-called crash that's going to happen.
So in my opinion, it might you the that typical appreciation may not happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to see our home prices continue to dip. Right.
No, no, and that was the goal. So that's what. So remember when I was saying, like they were trying to get, like Robertson was trying to get the home prices
Yeah.
not to drop. He was just trying to make them more affordable. And I said, well, that's kind of counterintuitive. How are you going to accomplish that? This is seemingly what they are trying to do is through the new builds, and that's what they were saying. Like how to fix it, we have to speed up permitting, modernize the trades. That's one of the biggest things as well that's going to hold back our ability to deliver these new homes is we have such a shortage in the labor trades,
Yeah. Well,
right?
I was listening to one of the most reliable sources of information, Facebook. Uh, and they were saying, and again, I say that with a grain of salt,
Yeah,
but they were saying that one of the solutions to this housing is small homes.
yeah,
And then it was also saying, hey, you got this great idea that you're going to be building all these small homes, but then there's no parking or there's no like it's just it's a solution, but it sounded like or it was presented that it wasn't really the right solution,
right.
right?
It's short-sighted solutions. It's reactionary. It's a reactionary solution. It's like, okay, we need homes. Okay, we'll build 30 small ones right here on this one small plot of land. And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh shoot, we forgot to put the driveways and a garage in all of them. So there's nowhere to park for all of these people.
Yeah.
right? It's just a quick fix solution. But that was one of the things, right, that they're talking about is build smaller or build smarter, pardon me. And that's thinking prefab and modular,
Yeah.
right? And then the other thing, of course, reducing costs and delay, right? Costs and delays in order to get to this 480,000 new homes a year. But
Well,
it's,
and I think that's a big issue with development right now is the cost.
yep,
Again, I have a couple of friends which are developers, and we talked about this. They're just not building right now because of the costs.
yeah,
And then you take a look at the labor here in Canada, maybe not so much as in the U.S. with all the immigration, what Trump is doing, but it's also like where are you going to put
well,
all these homes?
well, that's the big thing. What is I had heard a stat that we in British Columbia only use 6% of our available land for build.
Hmm. So there's lots of land, in other words.
Yeah, there's 94%
Yeah.
of our land that is tied up in crown or whatnot that we have not developed, that we can't develop. So why hasn't the crown released some of that land in order for development, to begin, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things too.
They were also saying that they want to make this a federal initiative with the federal construction doing that versus provincial,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And that's so they can kind of handle the crown land, and they can still keep control of the crown land. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing they don't want to give up to the developers. They don't want to give up the crown land to the private developers. They don't that because it's premium land, right? So the government still wants to hang on to that.
Yeah. Well, then you'll see capitalism at its finest if it goes private.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And that's one of the things they want to avoid because that again would impact affordability. Let's not lie, right? let's not lie. That would impact affordability for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. So it's really interesting that we have a number, right, in terms of what we believe, where we believe affordability lies. Affordability lies in the prices that were in 2019, right? So even in 2019, when we were complaining that the home prices were too high, that's what is now being deemed as affordable. And we now know the amount of homes that we have to build a year, right? So we know that Vancouver, we need to build 7,200 homes extra a year, up 29%. If we don't, we're going to fall behind our target. We're going to be out to lunch in 10 years.
Well, and we also have an inventory issue as it stands, like
Exactly.
right. So
Right. So yeah, we're in an interesting spot, my friend. We're in an interesting spot.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it plays out for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So what do you got for us, buddy?
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit today about retiring in debt. Back
Uh,
in the old days, my parents, their parents, the number one thing you need to do is to pay off your mortgage. And it just doesn't seem that a lot of people that are retiring now are doing that. And retiring in debt seems to be the new normal. And it's not necessarily a bad thing because I find that a lot of people are either they have one of three things are happening. They have money that they're reinvesting and deciding that, hey, maybe a bigger return on my investment is not going to be in paying off my mortgage. It's going to be in a different investment vehicle. You have others that have that mentality that are trying to pay off their debts as quickly as possible. And to me, both of those are good strategies. But at the end of the day, it's also the affordability and the cost of living. And Canadians are living longer, they're staying active. Like the average retirement age is 65. Um, and a lot of people want a better quality of life. So they're enjoying their lives rather than sacrificing and kind of going through it in that direction.
yeah,
So
I've even heard, sorry, Jeff, they're now looking at extending the retirement age to 70
yeah.
because we are living longer, or we are healthier now. So they're looking. I read I think about a month ago that they were looking extending retirement age to 70 now.
So when do you what So clarify extending the retirement age to 70.
Well, you can retire whenever you want,
Yeah.
right? But now for you to be able to retire, it used to be, 65 is when your retirement age. That's when your retirement kicked, your pension plans kicked in and all of that sort of stuff, right? So now they're looking at extending that age to 70, and that's when you'll get your pension. And one of it was because people are living long. People, I know it says 65.3, which I thought is pretty interesting stat, because I know so many people that are above that age, that are still working, uh, for fun. Like, it's not for fun, but they truly still work because they want to, right?
Yeah.
They're enjoying it. So that's why that 65.3 stat is still surprising. I thought it would have been a tad bit higher, and that's why I figured they were looking to extend it to 70, because you have so many people working. And now with you getting into, people in debt, into going into retirement age, it does also make sense now that people are going to work longer to try to not be in debt come
Well,
their age.
it's amazing too. We are working with probably four, I'm not going to say seniors, but they're 55 or plus. But I also find that people, and again, it's kind of contradicting a little bit of what I said earlier. They're just not saving either,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
And what happens is that they become equity rich, and say with the appreciation of what's been going on here in the last, say, 10 years or 15 years of housing. And we've always said, your best investment is your home. Not too sure if we're not too sure if that investment is as powerful as it once was. But again, in 10 years from today, we'd probably eat those words again.
Yeah.
But I just find that people live paycheck to paycheck. It's amazing when we're working on applications, when you talk to people about their investments, what type of investments do you have? Do you have any RSPs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds? It's crazy to me on how many people that are 50 plus that really don't have anything outside of the equity of their homes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And as we were been saying, like, we are living longer, we are staying more active. I think the average age now is 82, and
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when we're retiring here, based on the statistic from 2024, people can't retire. They have to work part time, or they have to rely on the equity of their homes. And this is why reverse mortgages are becoming so much more popular, right?
Yeah.
Um, we've probably worked on four reverse mortgages in the last 14 days, and it's becoming that new normal. Maybe they're becoming a little bit more educated as far as what the reverse mortgage is, and how it works, and basically understanding that, hey, in order to have a good quality of life, and if I'm not having a reliable income coming in on a month-to-month basis because I haven't saved, or
Yeah.
my pension income isn't enough, I have to utilize the one and only thing that I have, which is my home, to give me that quality of life that they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, retirement is changing, and again, a lot of people who are retiring with mortgage debt.
Right. Okay.
So statistically saying, there's 29% of upcoming retirees will still carry a mortgage. So statistically speaking, the average age of retirement is 65.
Yeah.
29% of those upcoming retires are still going to carry a mortgage, right?
Yeah.
45% of them have already paid theirs off. 6% are expected to pay it off before retiring. And then again, Canadians are really starting to think, what is going to be working best for them, right?
Right.
So again, retiring with a mortgage seems to be a new normal. What are retirees looking for, as they get to that retirement age? Like 46% of them plan to downsize. It's funny that we talk about, like, that retirement, that golden age was 55. I'm turning 55 this year in October, and I'm like,
It's crazy, man. I was watching a documentary about things that were happening in the 1950s, and the average, like the mortality age was 67.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was 67. Yeah, 67.3 for men. For men, and women was 71.
Yeah, and I think men today is 82. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's for women, but usually the ladies are lasting a little bit longer than the guys.
right.
But even speaking of myself, like I'm turning 55, which is your golden age. And back to what we were saying before, I feel that I'm more active than I've ever been and healthier than I've ever been.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't think that those words ring true anymore. I don't think that 55, it really is the golden age anymore, just because what we've been saying, people are living longer. So 55, it was your golden age because in the 1950s, if you were only living till 67, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you only got 12 more years left, right?
I was playing hockey yesterday, sitting beside what I thought wasn't a kid, but I swear he was late 20s. Asked him how old. He was 42. This guy looked
See?
18. I was
It's
like, what?
crazy.
42?
Yeah, man. People, the just health now. We focus now so much more on health now and stuff like that. That we're just a healthier society. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
One quick thing that I noticed, just going back to health, I was reading an article, and this is actually what surprised me. Do you know the percentage? It was of Americans, but the percentage of Americans that smoke now?
I'm gonna say less than 5%.
No, it's 11. It's
Oh,
11. But
yeah.
that's super low, and it's decreasing in the under age 25 bracket. It's even
Well,
lower than that.
and again, my girlfriend has young kids, well, not young kids, young adults. They're,
Yeah.
anywhere from 21 to say 26, 28.
Yeah.
They don't drink.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
drink. They don't smoke.
Hmm.
Same with my kids. My kids are 21, 22. Um, one of them vapes a little bit more than they should, but that's another pandemic that I think the young ones are going through.
Yeah.
But even my other one, my 21-year-old said, Dad, I haven't vaped for a year, 1 year and 9 months,
Yeah.
and neither of them really drink. So
Yeah.
so people are learning to live a little bit healthier for sure. So
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know, so
Absolutely.
downsizing, when we're retiring, 46% of us, Alistair, plan to downsize.
Yeah.
47% of us plan to stay in our current homes.
That's the one that surprises me. That number again surprises me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And guess what people are downsizing to?
I'm guessing 55 plus communities, a
Yeah.
lot of them. Yeah, I'm guessing that. See, it's always when I'm working with my clients that are downsizing, they're downsizing to condos. And it's really, really funny because it's so hard. They find it such a monumental task because, of course, they're downsizing from their single family home and trying to figure out how to now move into this condo with only a 3 by 5 by 8 storage locker down below. So it's really funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I downsized and I'm out here in Lindo Beach in Cultus Lake, and I live in a gated community, but I find that for me, I don't think I could live in a condo. I could live in a condo, don't get me wrong, but ideally I wouldn't want to live in a condo. Um, a smaller home is a little, for me, just a little bit kind of that vibe that I like. But I agree
That's
with you, 55 plus communities, like,
yeah.
as we get older, you get lonelier too, right? So
Hmm.
I think people try to find those communities and they try to connect. And I think this is also why a lot of people who retire continue to work, right? Some of them have to continue to work, but also some work because they want to work
It
and
is.
it
It's the
keeps them
social
busy.
aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the social aspect. And that because they found, and again, studies show that a lot of people that when they do retire, one of the reasons why they unfortunately pass away so
Yeah.
quickly after retirement is they lose that social aspect. They lose their purpose of what they used to do, so they become so sedentary, and then it just you pass on, right?
Yeah.
And so it's truly like we're saying, that's why I think people still work because they enjoy it. They do their job, they're doing what they love. right? Like the people that I speak to, that they're people that own their own business, so they're not maybe as involved in the business as much as they used to be, but they're still involved in the business as enough to keep them going, right?
And
So
to be honest with you, I think employers they love an older generation work because they show up for work,
100%. Yeah,
right?
we have a different. It's a different mentality. We still carry the same mentality of get the job done. Da 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 da. And I
I'll
don't want
tell
to
you
get
what,
any millennials upset. I know some, I know quite a few that have that have a wonderful work ethic. I'm just saying, there, there from a statistical number, there's a little bit of a shift.
Allister, you as a realtor, what do you believe retirees when they downsize, what are they looking for? What's important to them?
Well, one is for sure people with inside the community. They like to know they like to know what's going on. So a lot of it is what types of amenities are in
Right.
here, right? And then right, not just the amenities, like what type of class. So if there's a library, or if there's a workshop, right? Do they hold any classes in there to go along so that brings with the people within? They're looking to see, grocery for sure, grocery stores, right? Are there grocery stores next to us, right? Easy convenience, right? Can I walk over to the grocery store? I don't want to get into my car and drive all the time. Um, Sometimes I'd like to say they're looking maybe as a hospital nearby. That's that not a lot, right? But some for I would say for about I'd call it about 15%, maybe a shade over the 1 out of 10, right? They're looking to see, is there hospital facilities nearby? Churches a lot for especially for seniors that they like to be close to their community church. That's a big one for them. Parks and stuff like that. They like walking trails. They just like to be close to community.
What do you think the number one choice is?
Oh, it's always we don't want stairs.
Yeah.
It's always steps. It is, and that's a lot of the reasons why they're downsizing, right? When they're downsizing, it's because they're coming out of a two-story, and that's why they're a lot of the times, unfortunately, ending up in in a condo is because we in British Columbia, the townhomes that we now build, because we have no build the ability to we don't have the ability to build widthwise, we have to build straight up. So we're still building with levels, and they're trying to get out of that. I still, if I can, that's what I was going to say earlier. If I can, there's a few gated communities out there with townhomes that are detached in one level and such. I try to put my clients in those communities because they're fantastic, right? And then they still get the space of a detached home, so to speak, without having to cramp themselves down. But the number one thing for sure is single level layout.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And just to kind of sum that up, people who are retiring and downsizing, you're right. They do the number one choice is that single level layout. They
Yeah.
don't want stairs. Like even
Nope.
me, I just want one level, walk in, walk out kind of
It,
idea,
it's
right?
so fun when my parents built their home right back in when I was a kid. I remember asking them when I was little, why didn't we build a big house like the one next door? So my parents built a bungalow, really nice bungalow, wide. It's big. It's not just tall. And I was a kid, right? So I thought, oh, it's bigger because it's taller, right? And my parents were like, they told me later on they were going to build a two-story, but they thought this is going to be the house that we live in for the rest of our lives. And they don't, and my dad was like, I don't want to deal with steps when I'm older. And that's why they built the bungalow. So it's funny, yeah. Yeah.
And again, even on my mother, she wants to be close to a hospital, right?
There you go. See?
And she wants to be close to community services and that
Hmm.
convenience that it's in within that walking distance, right?
Yeah.
Family and friends, you notice that like we get lonely. Take a look at how many people that you know that are seniors when their spouse passes away, how quickly the other spouse follows,
Exactly. And
right?
so speaking of that, just to touch on that, the other thing that I would say that seniors are cognizant of and want is security. So that same thing, especially if they've had a spouse that's passed on and it's just them living by themselves, now they're trying to adjust to, oh, I'm the loneliness and having to kind of, I don't want to fend for myself, da 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 da. They like, what is the security of the community that I'm in? So is there, if you're especially in your condo, is it fob access everywhere? Right? So that, you know, you just don't have strangers walking off into the street and they can get to every level of the building, right? So security is quite a factor as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people often wonder why, why are we retiring with debt when we get to an age? And again, it's really because rising home prices. If we take a look on how quickly homes have risen in prices, and again, from 2019 due to COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and depending on when they purchased, they just have also higher mortgage balances. So unlike back in maybe our parents' days or their parents' days, the affordability was much better, right? What better is wrong? Much more affordable.
Yeah.
So when you're working all those years and you did focus on your mortgage debt, it was much easier to pay off. I don't know what did your parents buy a house for, like 75,000, or their parents before that, right?
Yeah, well, what I was going to say was when my dad was working on the trains, right? When he was coming, when he'd travel out here to BC, him and his friends always talked about buying place, and one of his friends did. He bought a place for $48,000. This was back in 1977.
Right.
He bought a place in Vancouver for $48,000. So there's tells you what the affordability was.
Well, and even back 23 years ago or 25 years ago, I purchased my place for 245,000, right?
There
And
you
that
go.
place today is about 1.5 million.
Right. See? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Louis is saying it's time to go. Oh, thank you, Louis.
What is Louis letting you know that the installers are here for the hot tub and saying, hey, let's
They are.
That's awesome. But yeah, no. That's longer pay or like people are buying homes, sorry, at a higher price. So I do see that that's one of the reasons why they're having a lot longer time in paying off that mortgage and paying it off, like especially too when well, for example, I have a first time buyer that I'm working with right now, and they're in their mid 30s. They're in their mid 30s. So if you think about it, this is the first house they're buying, and they're in their mid 30s, right? More than most, like when we were younger. I mean, I bought my first home, I was 23,
Yeah.
right? And so that was back in 19 or even in 2002, right? So I mean that, that shows you the difference too, where people now, because of affordability levels, when they're able to purchase their first home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for sure. So
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
that's it. That's
That's
it.
it.
My mind has
That's it.
shifted. My mind now has shifted. My dog told me it's time to roll.
Yeah, dog. So
Yeah.
hey, let's get that hot tub up and running, Dad, and let's get partying. Right?
100%.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys all for taking the time to listen to us. We hope again that we've delivered you guys valuable information. As Geoff and I as always have told you guys, in 2025, that has been our goal. We doubled down on making sure we're delivering the most valuable content for you guys so that we make this journey for you guys as easy and as simplistic as possible. Again, we are still sitting with so many listings out on the market. I actually just picked up a new client and we were talking about it yesterday, and I was explaining to them, people back in the day of low inventory would complain that everything was being purchased up before they could buy it. Now buyers are having the issue of too much to look at. And then when they do make that decision, the one that they were going to buy has just gotten purchased up from underneath them. That's what I've been trying to say. So jokingly, I was saying to, not jokingly, in all seriousness, I was saying to them, realtors I used to get mad at realtors that said, when the time to buy is now, the time to buy is when you're ready. I kind of used to say, that's a little bit foolish to say. The time to buy is when you can afford it. The
I
time
don't know. I disagree with that. I think the time to buy is, well, I always say the time to buy.
Not now, it's the now. That's the one that I hated, when a realtor said the time to buy is now. I always felt that was self-serving. The time to buy when you can afford it, and that's what I was saying to them. The time to buy is when you can afford it is the right way to put it, because in this environment, right, with so many listings on the market, we're getting to a point where we're waiting ourselves out purely because of choices. It's not because of price, it's because of choices. And then the choices and then we're not buying something because we waited too long, and then the property that we wanted is gone. And then one day the prices are going to start escalating, and we're going to be not in a 10,000 inventory level anymore, and you're going to be in a different position. So what I'm just trying to get across to everybody is the time to buy is when you're ready. And if you're ready now, then the time to buy is now. Don't wait, because we've got so much inventory on the market. You'll wait yourself out of your perfect home. So thank you guys again for listening to us today. Geoff and I will be back at you guys with episode number 60. Continue to love, like us, enjoy us, and share us. And most importantly, stay empowered, stay informed, and Geoff,
Stay tuned.
that's right, baby. Stay tuned. Peace out.